Hi, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Um, we are just the one day away from Christmas Eve, and then, of course, Christmas, and I just feel like a puppy chasing its tail. Um, am I totally ready? No. Do I still have lots to do today? I do, but I'll get it done as I always do. But I think I'm finally at the stage of being able to relax, and I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity and a chance to come on before Christmas to wish all of my subscribers and my new subscribers a very happy and blessed Merry Christmas. And I wanted to talk to just a little bit about what I have been able to do just to relax during the season, because I'm finding as I get older, it seems to be a little harder to get everything accomplished. And I was always thinking, when I was working full time and had my family at home, how I always was able to manage to get everything done, not without stress, of course, but I just always thought once you hit the empty nest syndrome that things get easier. But I think as you get older, you get just a wee bit more tired and a little less organized, and things just don't seem to go as you might think they do up here. But again, we're close to Christmas, and you know, all is well. And I'm thankful and grateful that we have our family, our health, and all the good gifts that God bestows to us all throughout the year. And so I wanted to make sure that I was able to come on and wish you a very Merry Christmas. And I was just going to chat with you just a little bit about what I have been able to do this year just to de-stress a little bit and relax. So, of course, one of my favorite things, well, let me start off by saying that this year I actually was able to spend quite a bit of time crafting. And it has literally been a long time since I was able to actually make some crafts. A few I sent out during Thanksgiving time, and just put together some little crafts that I used around the house on my trees. I was able to crochet a little bit more, and usually in the winter, that's kind of when I pick up crocheting again. I don't usually tend to do it so much during the spring and summer. It's kind of one of those hobbies that I have that I just kind of delve into more towards the end of summer and started off again for fall and winter. And this year I got into making, as I showed, pictures of pumpkins and little crocheted stuffed pumpkins, and just little crocheted snowflakes and gift tags. And so I did that, and I made a couple of other items for the Christmas holiday season, and that was really relaxing, and it was fun for me to get into crafting again, and just making some homemade crafts, and I enjoyed that. It just kind of gives me that chance that I get to de-stress a little bit. So, and I guess another thing that I should mention is, I do care for my elderly mom. She's 89 years old, and she lives with us in our home. And there's just times that I have to have that me time, because it's just sometimes like taking care of a 3-year-old. It can get constant. There's a lot of back and forth to doctor visits and things like that. And it's just sometimes difficult because of the transition that, you go through when you're at that elderly stage. And so crafting this year for me was a great de-stressor. And one of the reasons that I love to do YouTube is because it is a de-stressor for me. It just gives me that time of day that I can get away and just chat with all of you. And I love all of your inner communications, and you're always so uplifting to me, and you inspire me just by some of your positive comments, and I love it, and I love sharing. So it really does help me to de-stress, and I want my channel to be um, up on a positive note, and um, I don't engage in anything that's negative, and if there is any negativity, I just get rid of it because, like I said, it's a time for me to de-stress. So let's just talk about what I was able to do to de-stress a little bit during the holiday season. I had lots of fun this year playing Elf on the Shelf with my granddaughter, and she got to come over here because, Elf visited our home too. I think sometimes when he's aware that there's a grandchild that visits the grandparents' home often, that they assign an elf to the grandparents' home, and we got assigned an elf to our home, and his name is Tinsel. So we had tons of fun playing Elf on the Shelf this year, and just trying to find him in all his hiding places. Now I know he's going to be going away on Christmas Eve, so there's one more spot I guess we have to search for him for before he leaves. So that has just been great, great fun. And I got to share in some Christmas cookie baking where she was able to assist me. And unfortunately, I didn't get to bake as much as I had planned, but I did get a few baked goods done. None that I, am able to send away to family like I normally do. This year just got off track. And I think one of the reasons I'm like that puppy chasing its tail and I got off track is because I was sick and I had a lot of sinus issues. I am feeling so much better. Our weather, the climate has changed, and I just think it's my body trying to get used to Alabama weather, because it will be a year at the end of December that I moved to Alabama. So I just think this was the very first season I went through for fall and now starting winter. And so I'm feeling so much better. The sinus issues I have now just are very mild, but it did knock me down for a good 3 weeks. Got feeling a little bit better, and then boom, I was sick again for another probably week and a half. So I kind of got behind. But anyways, I was able to finish Christmas shopping and doing the last final little Christmas projects that I wanted to get done, and the rest will just wait until next year. But what I did get to do is, of course, I got to catch up on my reading, and it's Richard Paul Evans, my favorite author, and I have a surprise that I'm going to share. That was my surprise for Christmas that I'm going to share with you after Christmas, because it wouldn't be right to talk about it before. But this year what I did is, at the end of the day, when I wanted to have my David's tea, and let's talk about that David's tea for a minute, I was a little bit disappointed, and I think it's because they changed just the format of the Advent tea. There was no picture that formed once you drank from the tea box that you usually turn around, and then it forms a really pretty picture. They changed that, and all the tea came in plastic resealable bags, and I prefer the tins that they used to come in. I just think it was easier to maneuver the tea out. And the box was a pretty decorative box, but I was just a wee bit disappointed in some of the newer teas that I tried. Drank them, but just didn't get that wowie that I've always had from those teas before in the past. Now, some are my all-time favorites that I've had every year that I've purchased the Advent tea, but this year was just a little bit different. There were a couple of tea brands that were a bit heavier on the spices, and I tend not to like that. I like more of the fruity kind of sweet teas. I did find a green tea this year that was in the box that I felt I liked a lot. And I'm not a green tea kind of person. But so, yeah, that was a little different. But, sometimes change is just different. So we'll see. But one of the things I did to enjoy my teas was to catch up on my reading. And what I did was, I went back and I pulled one of my books from Richard Paul Evans, and it's called The Noel Diary. And these books are still all available now. If you just really want to sit down and read heartwarming books and stories that just are, in some way, shape, or form, you just feel like you can relate to the characters in the book, or you read it and think, I know a story like this. I know someone that has that kind of personality or picks up a character trait reading. And I decided this year, because every year I get the newest release from Richard Paul Evans, which is always kind of basically a Christmas type story. So this year what I did was I decided to go ahead and reread a book by him that was called Finding Noel. And this book, I usually will write in my books on the back cover, and this was in 2006 that I first read this book. And I went back and decided, no, I'm going to go back and read Finding Noel, because he has a series now that's called, the first one is the Noel Diary from last year, and this year's it's the Noel Stranger, which I'm just into, and then next year will be the trilogy to this set. And so I decided to go back and read Finding Noel. And I read this back in 2006, and I forgot just how much it just gripped my heart. And it was just, it is just so heartwarming, and it was just such a good book to reread again. So I did that, and then I reread the Noel Diary from last year. Now, this one, I wasn't sure when I started the first couple of chapters. I was like, oh my gosh, that was during our move. It was crazy for us from December through the month of February when we moved. And I started to think, did I purchase the book? And because I always get this book from him, and I always buy one for my very, very best friend that I send to her. And I kept thinking, she kept saying to me, have you read the book? Have you read the book? And I said, not yet, because we were in the middle of moving to out of state, and you know how everything is just a disaster when you're doing that. And I'm like, gosh, I'm so tired at night. I can't even flip one page because I'm just asleep. And so she kept asking me, you've got to read it. You've got to read it. It's so good. And so when I decided I'm going to pick this up this year and just reread it, I started reading the first few chapters, and I was like, I don't remember this. I don't remember it. Maybe I didn't read it. But then as I got into it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember. So I just decided to go ahead and reread the whole story. And now I just started a couple of nights ago, I just started reading The Noel Stranger. And I already know that in 2019, the third book will be out in this series. Great book series. He is such a wonderful writer. If you've never read anything from him, I would highly recommend it, and start with the very first book, The Christmas Box. That I'm going to just share a little something of that with you after the holidays. That was kind of one of my little surprises. But so I did do that to relax. And I think it's important to do that because it just kind of de-stresses you. It allows your mind to go into a different realm where you don't have to be bothered or think about what maybe is, bothering you or causing stress to you. Is just a great way to escape. And loved his writing. And the other thing that I was able to do is watch my favorite movies. And some of my favorite movies are those old time White Christmas. I love the old fashioned Ebenezer Scrooge movie. It's just, I love it, with George C. Scott. I just like to watch that one. And while I'm getting all those gifts gathered together and getting ready to send out to family and friends, I love to watch an old movie. And this year, of course, A Wonderful Life. And that is just a great movie to watch. I love watching that movie. And while I'm sitting there wrapping, I can just play it over and over again. And another great holiday um, movie that I love watching during Thanksgiving and Christmas is Anne of Green Gables. And this particular set was a gift to me by my son and daughter in law, and it has all of the movies. This is the first one, Anne of Green Gables, and then the sequel, Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, and then the third, which is after she is older and gets married. It's just a great. We have been watching this in our family, I think, since my son was actually just 5 years old. And every year it ended up kind of being our holiday tradition that we would get together with our close family, and we would sit around on Thanksgiving and the day after, and we would just go through and watch all of the movies that they had out at that time. Another great way to literally just de-stress, but also, killing two birds with one stone, because you're wrapping, or maybe working on crafts that you need to get done, or simple things like that that you can watch and still accomplish and get your stuff done. So that's kind of a couple of the things that I did, and I'm gonna just share a few pictures of some of our holiday baking. Even though it was small, I did have the best helper. So I probably won't be back on until after the first of the year. So until next year, I just want to wish you all a very happy, blessed, safe, Merry Christmas, and hope to see you real soon after the first of the year. And until next time, be kind, be humble, and age gracefully. Bye.